a lot of bands come here and sit down and talk with me, and they're a little bit reluctant to talk about what their songs are about. And I counted, and in this manifesto describing this record, you use the phrase "it's about" 22 times. So that's refreshing for me. Just so our audience understands a bit of what we're talking about here, I want to read a little bit from that manifesto. It's about change and the power to change. It's about metamorphosis and evolution. It's about sticking to your guns and toughing it out. Jehnny, I'll start with you. Tell me about the decision to spell out what's inside and what's driving this record.
Well, it was kind of a long process. We stopped touring Silence Yourself, the first record, in April 2014. And then we took a month off, but pretty much after that, we started writing straight away. What happened is for the lyrics, I had been writing during the tour, but I was constantly writing about love, and I didn't know at that point if we could use that in Savages. And so there was a moment we all sat down, and I had to confess that I think this is going to be about love. What are we going to do? Because on the first record we kind of we avoided that subject. There were more present things we wanted to talk about, which were that we were experiencing together as a band. Yeah. Instead of talking about little heartbreaks, there was more important things to talk about.
I mean, I was struck by that because, as I said, a lot of bands come in here, and articulated or not, I find clarity of purpose to be kind of rare.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think we get bored, right? And we go to rehearsals. We like to know what we
sit around and we do as much talking as we do playing. So.
What does that offer you as performers and artists to have that clarity of purpose behind what you do?
Well, definitely, I think that's part of what Savages are. Is a clarity is a really interesting word. Actually, that's sometimes a word we like to get in our heads before we go on stage. Maybe the purpose for the show will be clarity, and it means more than just clarity of sound, but clarity of ideas, clarity of mind when you're playing as well. So I think that clarity is quite an important concept for us.
What does that look like in preparation before you go on stage, trying to achieve that level of clarity?
Practically?
Yeah.
Stretches.
So there's a physical side to the mental clarity.
Thinking about the venue, the people who are coming, what city we're in, what year it is, what are we talking about, what's happened in the past few days that we kind of... Because we have some songs which are quite direct in terms of meaning, and so it's nice to put them in context, And every day is a new day, and there's always something new to say or something new you're feeling, and that might be relevant.
Okay, what about practically speaking, hammering out a manifesto like that? What does that look like with 4 people? I'll ask you, Faye.
Well, Jehnny's the words person.
Okay.
So she's I'm not passing that question on. So she will come to us with some text, and we'll discuss it as everything we do. We discuss at length and make little. I'm always the kind of punctuation person. Maybe we should put that there's an and there and a comma and this kind of thing. But we definitely work it through together, and we all have to feel that we're 100% behind the words. Although,
it's very lucky to have that. I think it's the fact that everyone is interested in the meaning of things as much as the music. Message and music going hand in hand. That's very precious, because I would hate if there wasn't that interest. And I remember when we wrote on the first record we wrote She Will, and Faye was smashing a cymbal like hell, and then she was like, "Why am I smashing that cymbal? What was the idea behind that?" Otherwise, it's just it's, you get tired of doing these things if there's not a constant
and a unity.
A unity, I think, is very important to feel like a gang. Yeah.
Is it hard to achieve consensus around these ideas for you guys?
I don't know.
Not usually around the ideas. I mean, there's some that have been more have taken longer to get our heads around, things that are maybe more personal or they take a little longer to work through so that everyone's behind. But not with musical ideas. No. Okay. The consensus is pretty easy to find.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you write at the end of the manifesto, but most of all, it's about love. Every kind of love.
Yeah.
Love is the answer.
Yeah.
This is a love record.
Not the kind of love you get usually though.
No, it's not a typical love album. I think people will get a sense of that.
It's not 90s Mariah Carey.
No, it's not. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and what struck me about it is it's about love. It's personal, but it feels bigger than personal. It feels political as well. Is one of those first for you, Jehnny?
Love is political. Everything's political, but not in the political sense of things. I think as an artist, you're supposed to reflect your times and your own experiences, and I think it's important to do that and to be conscious of that. There's a responsibility in things you're going to say and things you're doing on stage, and they trigger things. You know, they might start a spark inside someone, and I think that matters a lot to us. Mm-hmm.
In terms of the political, what is top of mind for you right now as it relates to love?
I think I would like to. There's a song on the record called Mechanics, and it's the last song. And the idea of this was to kind of foresee how love could be when it's actually free. Because I don't think we're free, even in a developed country. I think love isn't free yet, and there's still a step forwards to make. And this song for me, was kind of a vision of. If we were really free to be able to love whoever we want to love, and there wasn't, all the byproducts of love attached to that, which always come up, what it would be like. I think it's an interesting question.
Tell me about making this a love album that's not a Mariah Carey album. I mean, there's an interesting contrast, obvious contrast musically with what's going on here, with the lyrics about love, but very heavy music.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, when I referred 90s Mariah Carey, I think that kind of era, they nailed talking about love in a romantic sense. That's like, the peak of that mountain. So we're on a different kind of hill or mountain ourselves. Definitely, it's talking about love, but it's not necessarily talking about romantic love. It's talking about all the different sides of, because love makes you crazy. And so it's talking about that side of it as well, and it makes you angry, and there's so many things that love makes you do, that it's kind of exploring those sides of it rather than so much the kind of heartbreak or romantic love side.
Did that challenge excite you musically, to say, how can we make a love album that's different?
Well, I think the theme grew as we were writing the album. So it kind of, the music and the words grew together, and it turned into this, kind of love album in a sense. It wasn't
for a song like
to do that.
For a song like The Answer, for example, I remember the line "Love is the answer" wasn't there at first. It's only because the music was so abrasive and so strong and heavy, then I felt comfortable to say this naive and maybe very vulnerable line. Love is the answer.
As a contrast to what was happening.
Yeah. We're interested in the contrast here.
Some of the lyrics in this album invite a lot of examination. There's some powerful statements here about love, about sex, about intimacy. Some I can't quote on the show. Was it difficult for you to open up lyrically?
No. I felt like I had no choice. It was something else was pushing it. No, I didn't feel that it was difficult. It was maybe it took time sometimes, but I wouldn't describe it as difficult.
Do you feel like it's a responsibility that you have to be open in your lyrics?
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. This is something that I think I'm easily bored. So whatever is pushing it, it will. If I see an abyss, I will try to jump in it.
Metaphorically.
Yeah, of course.
We talked a little bit about the contrast musically, and this album is mostly drums, bass, guitar, voice. A lot of bands on their second record, they, amp up the sound. They add a lot of stuff. Yeah. Faye, you guys didn't go in that direction. Why?
No, I mean, that temptation's always there. We were joking about having the gospel choir. It's like it's kind of the natural thing to do. But I mean, I think it's partly because we write everything with the live performance in mind. So all of the songs are based around what we can do on stage, and that involves what equipment do we have with us in that setting. So yeah, everything has to be portable in a sense. No church organs because we can't take them on the road.
No big gospel choir.
Yeah, nothing more than can be played by 4 people at one time. So it really that informed our decisions. I mean, there are some slightly different sounds, and there's a vibraphone at some point. But it's, and some bass synth kind of stuff. But that really informed that decision. It's very tempting to kind of reach into the, electronic world as well, because we're all very much into electronic music. But
and that world is endless.
And that world is endless, yeah. But it's part of the discipline of writing. The more constraints you have, sometimes the easier it is. Faced with the choice of everything, it can be a bit blinding. So.
And as you said, the live performance is very important to you guys, and you guys bring a level of intensity, not just in your recorded music, but also in performance. Faye, you've talked about being scared of the physical pain you put yourself through sometimes in performance. What drives you to continue to go there?
Necessity. No. Well, I don't know. It's one of those things. I'm really, really enjoying the tour at the moment, mainly because we've been touring for a month, 6 weeks, 2 months. I don't know, but it's a long time. Not long in the scheme of things, but right now it's like we can go on and just play a show, and it's not, our bodies are ready. We're physically kind of there, and you can just concentrate on enjoying it.
You're in the rhythm at this point.
Absolutely in the rhythm. So yeah, that's great. But what forces you to do it? I don't know. It's the same thing that forces people to go out and run marathons, and the same that forces people to stand on one leg in yoga. It's just a natural human thing to want to push those barriers, I think. So,
but night after night, it must get hard to reach that level. Where do you go within yourself to be there and be present and be clear every time?
We kind of see it as a sport, like when people who do really high level sport, they have to be careful with the meals they're having, the time where they sleep, enough sleep and things like that. It's an hour and 20 minutes of a show, and it's very physical. So you can't just do the rock and roll way. I think we like to do it the I don't know, the
athlete's way.
The athlete's way. Yeah.
Yeah,
we're quite disciplined in that matter.
Some bands learn that by trial and error.
That's it.
What about you guys? Is that how you learned that?
Oh yeah, for me, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Went a little too hard the first time and realized you needed more discipline, or?
I remember the days when I'd be drinking straight vodka on stage. Those days are over because it made it so much harder. I don't know what I was doing that for.
You guys are going to perform one more song in a minute, but before you do, we've talked a bit about love, and I want to come back to that in a little bit of a different way. Jehnny, you live in Paris, and Savages played a show there shortly after the terrorist attacks at the Bataclan.
Yeah.
Can you describe what that evening was like for you?
I don't live in Paris, but I've been in London for 10 years, and recently I've relocated between the two cities, really. But I was in Paris when the attacks happened, and of course we know Jesse and everyone, Eagles of Death Metal, and Josh, and so. I think the events really struck in our world because it was very close from home. It was people we knew. And when we played, so I think 10 days after the attacks, we played in Paris. And
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and Josh had reached out to, Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age had reached out to ask us if we would cover the song. Like, he reached out to a lot of musicians, and we thought, let's actually record it and play it in Paris. So people from who were at the Bataclan show were at our show as well. So it was very emotional. But it was so important to do it. It was very. There was so much love in the room for the whole show, and it was so emotional but positive. It was not miserable. It was just incredibly warm. And
a lot of tears shed as well, but in a freeing kind of way as well.
Yeah. I watched a clip on YouTube, and the joy in the room was quite surprising. I mean, it was emotional, but also this, as you described it, a positive, joyful energy. What was it like for you back there on the drums, looking out?
Fuck, it was so intense. Beep. It was so intense. It was so intense. I'm actually getting goosebumps thinking about it now. It's so weird. But it was really intense. I mean, you can see everyone from where I sit. You can see everyone's faces. And there was just so many people breaking down. I think I was as well. I was trying not to, but it was also sometimes there's a right moment to express that emotion, and that was definitely the right moment for lots of people.
I think that's interesting with a song like Adore, because when we performed in Paris again a few weeks ago, and Adore has taken this particular meaning for Paris, and strangely enough, the song has been, the meaning of the song has been, changing with different cities we go to, and people adapt it to their own lives, and I think that's quite precious. We're very thankful for that, because when a song is released, it's not yours anymore, and it has its own journey, has its own history, and people talk to you after the shows and they say. There was a kid actually in Boston I saw after the show, and he said to me, he was very brief, but he said to me, I just wanted to tell you, thank you for saying something that, talking about things that actually matter, talking about things that matter to me, or are real things. And I was really, that's what you do it for. I was really thankful for that.
I never thought about that in the context of Paris, that song meaning something so so different. Yeah. Last question, I'll just throw it to you. What have you taken from that experience performing in Paris, that emotional night that has carried on with you, Faye?
I think it's just one of those things that makes you feel what you're doing is worthwhile. That sounds really cheesy, but it really...
I can play Maya Carey in the background.
Yeah, just get your violin out or something. But no, I mean, it really does. It makes you... It really brings together a community as well, a community of artists and music fans, and sort of joining together in the importance of sharing music across borders, across boundaries as well.
Well, thank you guys for chatting with me.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I'm a fan. I'm glad to have you guys here, and you're going to perform one more song for us.
Yeah.